look at those during your lunch break, not be distracted by them during work hours. There are all sorts of things that you can do that you'll notice when you 4D that you can set up a rule for and get your personal assistant, the computer, to do for you. You might redirect to someone else, someone in the accounts or your personal assistant. And Google Alerts. Is anybody aware of what Google Alerts does? Does anybody use Google Alerts? Just quickly, for example, my expertise is around email, so I type into Google Alerts, email etiquette, email overload, information overload, anything that's published on the internet about those subjects. I get an email once a day with 1, 2 or 5 links to that article, so it helps me to stay on top of things. You might do it in an area of personal interest. So instead of me having to surf the web and find this information, it's coming to me. And then I can set up a rule that it goes straight into that folder, and I'm quietly accumulating research automatically without me having to manually go and do it. And every few months or weeks I might go in and check some of these articles and update my materials. So again, it's just an example how rules can help you with information overload. And the third of the 3 strategies is around where do you store email? Where do you file it so you can quickly file it and quickly retrieve it? The first of the steps is reduce your mailbox size. Who has ever got those reminders? You try to send an email and it says, no, you can't send it, your mailbox is too full. And you've had to go and clean out your mailbox.
Or someone else's is full and they won't receive it.
And they can't get yours, yeah. 80% of the research says that 80% of the volume comes from a small percentage of the messages. So when you want to clean up the mailbox, it's not a big job. You just have to locate these small numbers. The blue shows the number of messages. What do you call that? It's a yucky, mustardy yellow, is the space that it takes up. Small number of messages taking up all the space. So when we want to clean it up, we just got to find these ones, the small number that are using up all the space. And it's happening because of what? Attachments, yeah. Do you get lots of attachments? Big attachments? Photos, diagrams, proposals, documents. You know, remember when 1 meg was a big deal? And so I show people how to do that using one of the search folders called Large Mail. One of the ways to avoid that is to use document links instead of attachments in the first place, document links and hyperlinks, particularly within organisations. A lot of organisations have the capacity to use document links, but people don't think of it and don't do it. They send the attachment instead. And the problems with attachments are that it makes the size big, which slows everything down. Very hard to control the versions. If you send an email to 5 people, how many versions of that attachment could we possibly have now? Security's not there, that attachment could end up on the front page of the Age. And with fast-changing technology, you can often have compatibility issues. But if we use links, hyperlinks, document links instead, it's the opposite side of the coin, isn't it? So there are great reasons for taking a little bit of time and effort to see if you can send a link or even pop it on Dropbox or some sort of, and then send the link rather than fire an attachment, which is going to take up space at your end and at their end as well. The one that I think that'll interest you most about the where is to simplify your email folder structure. Is anybody interested in that? Found your folders have become difficult to use? A couple of keys here. Where are most of your folders? Are they under the inbox? Most people seem to have their subfolders as subfolders of the inbox, and that's the first thing I would recommend you change, is separate your finished work from your unfinished work. If it's gone into a folder, it's like a piece of paper comes off your working area into a filing cabinet or onto a shelf. Separate those 2 areas. That's the first step. And the second step is then to set up your filing cabinet. So in the same way that physically we remove things from our working area and put it into a storage area, we should do the same electronically. Have that nice distinction in our head as well as on our screen. And so you'll see the filing cabinet is separated from the work in progress area. Let me come back a couple of slides here. You've got your work in progress area, the folders that are active. Then when it's finished, it comes into a filing cabinet. And when you put something in a physical filing cabinet, do you put it just anywhere? Or do you have certain drawers and then subfolder? And so with a filing cabinet, you can label these 4 main drawers. Most email will fit into these 4 categories. It relates to outside of your organisation, suppliers or clients. It's internal, it might be different departments or team members. It's your projects, your output, your subject matter, or it's all the admin stuff, payroll and rosters, all that administrative sort of stuff. Every one of your current email folders will fit into that structure, wouldn't it? Pretty much. So what you can do is set up the structure and then drag and drop into that structure. You'll have no less folders, but you'll have a better structure, easier and quicker to use. The next step from there is to go from condensed down to compact. Instead of having 27 external, 15 internal, 27 projects and 15 admin, you can take the contents of each of those and pop them into those 4 folders. So now instead of having 72 folders, you've got just 4 folders, and start relying on the search columns, the sort columns and search terms. Search is now becoming so powerful in our email software that we can rely on it more and more. Because to use a complicated structure involves, you've got to remember where it is. How many times have you said, do I put it in this folder or that folder, or both, or where did I put it? Or you drag and drop and you meant to put it in that folder but you missed it without even realising it. I can't find that darn email. It's because drag and droppers, you've popped it in the wrong place. And the ultimate model of those is the one that you're using, Paul, is just have one folder. Have I got it here? Yeah, just one simple folder. Everything goes into one folder. You either delete it or it goes into one simple folder called filing cabinet, just one place, and start relying on sort by the columns or search in one single place. And you will probably already do this anyway. Who uses Google? You get online to... Anyone use Google? How often? All the time, all day, every day? And what is Google? Search engine? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's a filing cabinet, isn't it? All the information you need is in that filing cabinet, isn't it? If you ever want to know something, Google it. And it comes with a powerful search engine so you can find it. Get the principle? Same thing here, pop it all in one place and use the power of search or sort, because you can sort by, excuse me, the date you received, the sender, the subject line, or you might have to go in and search for a specific term or name. And start relying on the computer's brain rather than having to do it all yourself mentally. Who thinks there's something in there that you could take away? Simplify your email folder structure. And the ultimate model, I'm pretty sure that in the very near future we'll all be working on this and we'll be relying on search almost exclusively. Because computers do that better than we do. There's 2 things computers do better than we do. One is remembering the right thing at the right time, if you tell it. But you and I, if we try and hold it here, we're often nagged by it when we don't need to know, and then we forget when we do. We don't get the timing right mentally. Computers do that really well. And the other thing they do is search. They search really well. Now, you might need to relabel some subject lines, and you can change the subject line of an incoming message. Most people don't know that. You can change, I get an email from Malcolm saying widgets, but I don't think widgets, I think gadgets. So I can add the word to the subject line, gadgets, or change widgets to gadgets. So Malcolm still searches for widgets at his end. I can search for gadgets at my end because it's a term that makes sense for me. So that search starts to become powerful. Yes, Paul.
When you search, is it possible to word search date range? I get frustrated with the default this week, last month. I think it was July last year, July, August last year.
Yes.
Is that possible?
Yes, you can. And most people don't know that there's a 5-page document I've got on using Outlook's advanced find. Most of us just, we search, and if I don't get it straight away, what's wrong with this thing, But there are quite advanced features in the search capacity that you can use. I've got a document on that that you're welcome to. It's on my resources articles page. Anyone can get it. So where to from here? Where could you go to from here? So we've talked about the www, controlling when we're looking at email, when it gets our attention, what we do when we get there, single task it, only look at them once, and then where do I move it to so that I can quickly file it off, but quickly get it back when I need it. When I run a half-day workshop, we expand that out and it becomes Taming the Email Tiger, which is the way I started 10, 11 years ago, was just running half-day workshops. That's when we get hands-on and make this work so that people walk out of the workshop with an empty inbox, folders reorganised, we change the defaults, we set up some rules and templates and drafts, and it's all done. And there's a whole lot of resources that support that. You can move on to how do I write more effective email now? How do I become a better communicator and get more out of the work that I'm doing when I'm sending and replying to email? And there's a whole range of resources that help that as well, including an audio. And that is my IP for 11 years, pretty much captured in there. So you can benefit from that. The back of your worksheet shows you that in the left-hand corner. So all of those are available as either workshops or coaching or conference presentations like this. And then the wider workplace productivity. What we cover there becomes pretty much the first module in the 5 modules of improving workplace productivity. And again, that's accessible by coaching or workshops or conference presentations. And there's what a few nice people have said about work we've done with them in the past. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. I'm curating material or writing new material myself on LinkedIn, so feel free to catch up with me on LinkedIn. I recycle the good stuff. Google Alerts helps me. It makes me aware of the good stuff. I filter it and I'll quickly post it back up so that you can see it as well. I used to put it in a file, think I'll use that one day. What do you think happened with that? So now I very quickly curate it so that everyone else can get the good oil on what's happening around email productivity in particular. There is a Facebook page called Email Tiger as well. I'll post it to there. And the website, which is about to have an upgrade, thank goodness, it's years old, is Email Tiger. So there's some of the LinkedIn things I pop up. I just took a snapshot of the screen. You know, email on your smartphone might not be so smart after all. If you're intrigued by that, you can have a look at that. Any questions? Yes, please.
You talk about checking your email. What about sending emails? So you finished a project, you've got to send emails out. From your point of view, do you just do it at any stage, or?
So timing of when you send emails. And one of the things in the 7+ reasons to write more, 7 ways to write more effective email, the 8th one that I had to add was delay delivery. It is so important these days to control when our messages arrive at the other end, because so many people are getting them all hours. I mean, it might suit you to do work at 10 o'clock at night, but is that the best time for your recipient to be receiving the email? And so you can use delay delivery in Gmail. There's an app called Boomerang, which will help with that. And in Outlook, it's just simply delay delivery. Hold on to this email until this particular time. And again, I've written an article, 7 reasons we should use delay delivery. The timing is critical. Your emails are arriving as an interruption to someone who's already overloaded, but there are times that you can make them arrive that are going to give you a better chance to get the outcome that you want. Great question, thanks for that one. Does that answer? Yep, great. Any other questions? Anything that popped out of today?
Stu, this isn't just about email, but you made the point that sometimes it's better to pick up the phone, which I totally agree with. Some of us are quite comfortable speaking on the phone, but younger generation, particularly I suppose, under 20s have a real aversion to telephone. I've found this
Yes.
in some organisations that have a large percentage of younger folk.
Yes.
Sometimes there's a real disconnect between the two groups of audiences and receiver, I suppose. Do you
Yes.
have any tips to help encourage use of sort of multiple channels like that, email as well as telephone for young folks in particular?
Yes. So how do we encourage people to get out of just using email? One of the things I talk about in the first of the 7+ ways to write more effective email is to think first. Is email the appropriate channel for this message? And often it isn't. And to switch channels. Because I receive an email, I tend to respond by email. If I get a phone call, I tend to respond by a phone call. If I get a text, But we can change channels and get people out of that rut of thinking you have to respond by the medium by which you've received, and make them aware of a range of tools and not just get stuck with their favourite, whether that's email or text. I know what you mean. I used to coach some young cricket fellas. They're private school boys. I only saw them at the game on a Sunday. So they didn't come to training because they were training with their school. So I'd send them an email saying, guys, here's the game, here's who's in the team, remember to bring afternoon tea, please respond to let me know because I haven't seen you all week. Nothing, absolute, no email, nothing. Send them a text. They all come back, yep, be there. Yep. Oh, Johnny, I want to speak to Johnny, ring him. No answer. Text, straight back. Johnny, I know you're there. And he's too comfortable with his texting to pick up the phone. So yeah, it's educating people about the range of tools and when some is more appropriate. And again, I have a 1-page cheat sheet about a range of activities and which would be the more appropriate channel. And to realise that email's good for some, not so good for others, and completely inappropriate for others. And getting people out of their comfort zone, making them realise that there are a range of options. Good. Any other questions? No? Just quickly, what's been the most valuable thing? Smorgasbord, you take away 1 or 2 things. What have been the useful things for you this morning? Just give me some sense of what you thought was useful for you.
4 days.
4D, the 4D approach. Yeah, thanks, Malcolm.
In the calendar?
Putting things in the calendar? Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Yes, having a calendar or diary-based or time-based tool to help you manage your workload. Excellent. That's the real shift I'm hoping to give most people. Yes.
4 folders on the side.
Just 4 folders. That'd be a lot easier, wouldn't it? Yes. Yep. Anything else come up?
Your inbox is not your to-do list.
Your inbox is not the to-do list, yeah. It's where to-dos arrive, but it's not a to-do list, yeah. Yeah, great. So, got some value out of today? Great. Follow up if you want some more help. I hope that's been really useful. Over to you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Steuart. Great presentation, and I've also inherited your wonderful glasses. Do I look good?
Yeah.
So, special thanks to CGU Insurance and Eastern Innovation Business Centre for helping us bring this event to you today. Next month, we'll be hearing from Stan Elves. He has been a distant admirer. I have admired him from a distance, probably a better way to put it, for a long time. And I'm very pleased to be able to bring Stan to you as, I suppose, an expert coach, an expert leader. He's also had a number of business successes outside of football that you may or may not know. So I look forward to seeing you all next month when we hear from Stan Elves. As to the raffle, Steuart, just want to come up here, mate. We got a card in your card. The prize is a round of 4 at Yarra Bend Golf for the golfers. And also, if you're not much of a golfer, but you happen to have kids, there is a family pass to their mini golf. Now the lucky recipient, Peter Merritt, Managing Director, Club Operations. Peter? Now, Peter, I ask this of everybody. Your 10 seconds of fame. What is your why for your business?
I love sailing as a sport, and I'm technology from a profession. So I'm trying to help sailing clubs use technology and apps to increase participation in their sailing events, training events, and social events.
Well, now, are you a golfer?
Only occasionally.
Handicap or no handicap?
I certainly don't have a handicap.
Well, I have a handicap in mini golf. That's how well I'm going. So, there you go.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Is there anyone in the room who happens to be an absolute golfing tragic? Anyone? No? Great. Because Mark Wilson over here is a golfing tragic, so anyone who wants to have a game of golf at Yarra Bend, courtesy of us, please come and see Mark, because Yarra Bend Golf is a big supporter of ours, and they will allow you to play a game at their venue with Mark, who is a golfing tragic. So feel free to come and see him after, because he's always up for a game of golf, which is half a day outside of work, which is fantastic. So thank you very much for coming along this morning. I hope you continue to get some great value out of it. And also thank you very much to Steuart this morning for enlightening us. And hopefully that can add immeasurable value to you and your business. Look forward to seeing you all next month. And if there's anything we can help you with, please let us know. Thank you.